successful people, it is not that they never failed. They encountered repeated failures but kept persisting. Those who did not succeed were the ones who gave up after 4 failures. The successful ones failed 10 times but continued and succeeded on the 11th time. Take the case of John Roebling, the builder of the Brooklyn Bridge. In 1883, he got this visionary idea of connecting New York with Long Island through a bridge. Engineers around the world said impossible based on the technology of the time. But he kept working on it, consulted the best experts, came up with a viable design. But tragedy struck one day. Grit is the strength of character that enables us to persist towards our long-term goals, even in the midst of problems and challenges. Grit is the inner courage in the face of adversity. Grittier people have the resilience that enables them to keep growing their skill sets, and they surpass their more talented and skillful brothers and sisters in the long run. Take the example of the ancient spectacular grammarian of India, Varadaraj Acharya. As a little child, he was extremely dull. He was admitted in a Gurukul where he did the ashram chores but could not understand what was being taught in class. At the end of the year, his classmates got promoted while he was left behind. His friends began ridiculing him, and Varadaraj himself decided that it was not in his ability to study. Returning from there, he stopped by at a well, where he saw a groove had been cut by the moving rope being used by the women who were washing clothes there. He thought, Rasri avat jat hai, silte hot nishan, karat karat abhyasate jadmati hot sujan. If the repeated movement of a grass rope can cause stone to be cut, then repeated practice can make a dull person a scholar. He returned to the Gurukul, dedicated himself to the task. He would take one word to learn, a cup of sesame seeds, repeat the word and put the sesame seed in an empty cup until it was full. One word at a time, he kept inching his way towards scholasticism. And the day came when he was an accomplished Pandit. He wrote the Laghu Siddhant Kaumudi, the Madhya Siddhant Kaumudi, the Sara Siddhant Kaumudi, and many more. Saint Kabir has said, Sona Sajjan Sadhujan, Tute Jude Sau Bar, Durjan Kumbh Kumar Ke Eke Kara Darar. The nature of gold, good people and saints is, you break them 100 times, they will have the resilience to join back again. But in the case of evil people and the mud pots, one break and they are smashed forever. So successful people, it is not that they never failed. They encountered repeated failures but kept persisting. Those who did not succeed were the ones who gave up after 4 failures. The successful ones failed 10 times but continued and succeeded on the 11th time. Take the case of John Roebling, the builder of the Brooklyn Bridge. In 1883, he got this visionary idea of connecting New York with Long Island through a bridge. Engineers around the world said impossible based on the technology of the time. But he kept working on it, consulted the best experts, came up with a viable design. He got his son Washington on board, inspired some contractors with his vision, and the project began. But tragedy struck one day. In an accident, John Roebling himself died, and his son Washington suffered brain injury and became paralyzed. All he could do was move his hand and tap with it. But Washington had the never say die spirit. With that tapping of his finger, he kept on guiding the engineers on what to do, what not to do for the next 13 years. And finally, the day came when the Brooklyn Bridge was thrown open for the public, a living ode to someone with the never say die spirit. How do we develop that kind of grit? The essential ingredient for success within ourselves. The first, come up with a formula for bearing with pain. Muhammad Ali, the legendary world boxing champion, was asked, "Did you enjoy your workout sessions?" He said, "I hated every moment of it. However, I said to myself, bear it, carry on, and enjoy your life later on as a champion." The fact is that the pathway to success requires bearing pain, because nobody immediately becomes an expert. Somebody you see as accomplished today was a novice yesterday. The person who is a teacher today was a student yesterday. And one who is successful today began as a failure yesterday. The path forward is bearing with pain. For example, if you wish to learn the tabla or any musical instrument, it will not come naturally. The first time you try it, you will not have the control over the movement of your fingers. You will have to practice and practice, even though the mind and body complain. If you wish to learn a new language, it is not merely a chip that you can fit into your head. You have to learn it one word at a time, one grammar rule at a time, and this requires enduring pain. The second tip for becoming grittier is to evoke in yourself a yearning for a higher purpose. When we are motivated by a sense of purpose, we are willing to die for a cause that we truly believe in. Take inspiration from the founder of Reader's Digest, D. Witt Wallace. He came up with this idea of a pocket-sized magazine that would be filled with inspiring stories which people could carry around with them and put into their pockets. People ridiculed him. Come on, magazines are meant for entertainment and news. They are meant to be of much bigger size. But D. Witt Wallace refused to give up his vision. He kept gathering stories until he had a collection of thousands of them. He went around to scores of printers and finally managed to sell his idea to one. The first time Reader's Digest was printed, it was only a few hundred copies. But from there it increased and it went on to thousands of copies. And since the last so many decades, it is now the most selling paid magazine of the world. Today it sells 17 million copies worldwide. This is the power of being motivated by aligning yourself with a higher purpose in your life. And finally, realize the value of this human form. It is so precious, even the celestial devatas pray for it. We who have received this human form as a gift must put it to good use. Hence the Kathopanishad states, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. This mantra was translated by Swami Vivekananda in his famous words, awake, arise, and stop not till the goal is reached. The Atharva Brahman of the Vedas states, Charaivaite, Charaivaite, Charan Vai Madhu Vindati. O human beings, the journey is tough. Human life is not easy. But stay resilient. Develop the quality of grit and just continue moving. Those who persist shall get the madhu or the nectar at the end.